Welcome to the BackPageLead Vidcast, Wayne Carey. It was an amazing, how are you by the way?
Yeah, very well. You've been on holidays.
Yeah, I have. It's a long Easter.
Yep.
Amazing round of footy, wasn't it, round 6? We had Essendon obviously scoring 15 goals in the first quarter against Gold Coast. Collingwood having blitzing the Bulldogs in the last quarter yesterday. Daniel Motlop getting manhandled by a fan. I mean, there was all sorts of things happening.
Been an interesting 2 weeks really with the amount of footy that we've had, but it's been good. I've really enjoyed it, but I think someone said it's sort of like a little bit overkill.
Almost too much footy.
Almost too much footy, but there's a lot happening. Essendon 15 goals. I mean that was a training run for them. The Gold Coast would be very disappointed in their first quarter, but then after that, they made a pretty good account of themselves. I mean, they weren't bad after quarter time, but that first quarter was just incredible.
Do you get any joy out of watching a game like that, or is it just like it's football's equivalent of sort of shooting fish in a barrel, isn't it?
It was, and I'm sure that there'd be a lot of players at the Gold Coast that'd be pretty disappointed in that first quarter because, I mean, then to come out, and I think they won the second quarter, to come out and win the second quarter after a first quarter like that, I mean, it just goes to show that their mind wasn't on the job.
So what can be read into Essendon's performance? I mean, you can't do anything more than beat the opposition in front of you. But then again, Matthew Hayden made 380 against Zimbabwe one day too, didn't he? Yes.
Look, Essendon, like you said, you can only beat what's put in front of you. I think they'll be very happy with that. I mean, to kick 15 goals in a quarter and then come away with a very good win, I think they'll take that and good percentage booster.
Let's talk about Melbourne quickly. A lot of Melbourne fans who had quite high expectations, I think, going into the season, are now finding voice. They're a bit disappointed with the way they started the year and certainly the way they played against West Coast on Thursday night, which was pretty lamentable. Rumblings about Dean Bailey's performance. Where do you think they're at?
Yeah, look, I agree with you, Charlie. I think they have been a little bit disappointing. I mean, I watched the game against West Coast on Thursday night, and give credit where credit's due. West Coast were pretty good, and they've really, I mean, they're the surprise packet so far this year. But all of a sudden, they're good players. Embley, Cox, and Kerr actually played a good game the other night as well. So they're good players, are fit and playing good footy again. They're going to be, they're dangerous, especially over there. Yeah. So. But in saying that, you're right, Melbourne were disappointing, although West Coast were very good.
Dean Bailey is out of contract at the end of the year. I'm not asking you to sack him, but do you reckon he'll be there next year?
Look, I couldn't tell you. I think that if he'll certainly be under pressure, I'm sure, like all coaches, that are not winning footy when you're expected to play better. And right now, Melbourne are not playing good footy. So, would he be there next year?
Sounds like sitting on the fence.
Well, there'd have to be some question marks.
Right. St Kilda's the interesting one for me. I know they've lost Lenny Hayes for the season, but the spirit just seems to have gone, and I don't know why that might be, apart from the obvious, which is the off-field dramas have kind of taken their toll. A few of the boys down there. What do you?
Someone brought up a very good point the other day on TV. I'm not sure who it was. Jason Graham kicked a goal against Brisbane, and it was a goal that I think that they needed in the second quarter. Not one player from St Kilda went up and patted him on the back and said, "Well done." Yeah. They don't seem like they have real team spirit at the moment, and I'm sure that's and you can't manufacture that. No. That's something that happens. So there's some real troubles for them because they were disappointing again the other night. Like I said, they're just not. There's just no feeling. And the captain. I mean, he's getting triple teamed.
I know.
And everyone's saying it's formal. It's pretty hard to outmark and outplay 4 or 5 guys.
Sometimes do, didn't you?
They are in real trouble now, St Kilda.
But even if he's getting triple teamed and beaten, he's got to lead the way with his body language and talking it up and
I thought he was trying to do that. I really did. I watched him closely. Look, it's like I said, it's very hard to manufacture. If it doesn't come instinctively, then it can almost look fake. And right now, St Kilda, like I said, there's just no team spirit whatsoever.
Yeah, it's quite noticeable, isn't it?
Yeah.
And teams like Essendon, for example, are just bubbling with that team enthusiasm.
Yeah, well, they're a perfect example. It's easy being bubbly when you kick 15 goals in the first quarter, though.
Yeah, I know, that's true. Now, scores were level in the Bulldogs and Collingwood game yesterday, early in the last quarter, and it looked like the Dogs actually had all the momentum. And then Collingwood kicked the next eight goals of the game to win by 48 points. I mean, it was a remarkable turnaround.
Oh, look, and that's what good sides do, and Collingwood have really got that ability. They did it on Anzac Day, really, against the Bombers when they got challenged. Yeah. They just, they have got a switch, and when you're a good side and when you're confident in one another, they know that at any time they can do that. And against a pretty good side in the Bulldogs, to be able to do that just goes to show you that they are they're a class above everyone at the moment. Are they beatable? Absolutely, and I think the Bulldogs proved that. I think Essendon proved last week that if you pressure them, they're just like anyone else. But they do have another level that they can go to, and they're certainly playing some good footy.
No one exemplifies their improvement more than Lee Brown, who played for your club, North Melbourne, for a while, having been at Freo. And let's face it, he didn't really cover himself in glory at North. He was a bit of a plodder, pretty pedestrian player, and now he's become absolutely integral to the Pies setup.
Yeah, well, he's one of those players that can play in a number of positions. Obviously, he can play forward, he can play back, he can play in the ruck. He's got a pretty good endurance. He gets around the ground well. He reminds me a little bit of what Mark Roberts did at the Kangaroos for the Fridge for so long. He's a player that can play anywhere. And yeah, look, he's in a very good side and he's playing good footy.
Yeah, so okay, it's part of the If he was in a lesser side, then we might be seeing quite the brilliance from him.
Well, yeah, look, they're a good side, and I'm not saying that he's not a good player, but when you're in a good side, it certainly makes him stand out maybe a little more than it would have when he was at the Kangaroos.
The bye is an interesting one, and Collingwood have got a bye this weekend. All the bye teams this year that have played a non-bye team the following week, if that makes sense, have lost, and Sydney was the last team to do it at the weekend. That might give Geelong a bit of hope in 2 weeks' time because they'll get the Pies coming off a bye. Or do you think it's
look, that's the way it's worked out so far. We'll wait and see. But look, it's probably not a bad time to come. Really, you've played 6 hard rounds. You've had the pre-season, little break now. It'd be a bit of a worry if you had it, a little bit earlier. And I know a couple of the sides, that had it in round 2 and 3. I think that's sort of upsets the apple cart a little bit. But now is probably not a bad time to have it.
Yeah. Give us a few quick observations on a few players and clubs over the first 6 rounds. Dustin Martin from Richmond. I mean, what a great pickup.
Yeah, look, he's a super player, isn't he? And I think it was Ben Cousins said that when he got to Richmond, and a few others have said that he's the best young kid they've seen, and that includes Cochin and Delidio, and they've got some. So they're pretty big raps. And I think the way he goes about his footy, he's a good player to watch, isn't he?
Tough enough too.
Tough, hard.
Not daunted by anyone.
No, well, he's got such a mature body, so strong. He probably weighs he'd be in the 90s, I'd say. So for an on-baller, very hard to stop. A bit like Mark Rasciuto was in his heyday. Voss, good, hard, strong bodies.
Are you a fan of the neck tats?
It doesn't bother me too much. It suits him, wouldn't suit me.
Carlton as well. They've flown under the radar a bit. I mean, they're top 4 material.
Well, right now they are. Look, they've got a good side, and they've got a lot of players that can rotate through that midfield now. Judd's in super form, but they've got a good list, and we've been expecting Carlton to do this now for a couple of years, and look, they're playing some good footy also.
Chris Judd might be up for a 3rd Brownlow.
Well, we know that he polls, don't we? Chris Judd only needs to get the thing that I love about Chris Judd, unlike some of the other really good on-ballers, is he doesn't need to get it 30 times or 35 times a game. He gets it 20, and they are a brilliant 20. Yeah. And he gets it 20, 22, and he gets 3 Brownlow votes, whereas other on-ballers get it 30, 35 to get the votes. He's a great player.
There can be a few players in the history of the game who shrug tackles as well, or can wear 2 or 3 tacklers and get the ball away.
Yeah, look, I often say that I make the comparison. I say he's the 2000 model of Robert Harvey. Robert Harvey was the best on-baller of the 90s. with Greg Williams, and Chris Judd's just a, I suppose, quicker version of that.
Well, thanks for your thoughts. Look, round 7 actually, but I look forward to seeing you next week, is shaping up as a really good round. There's 5 or 6 games that look like sort of 50-50 propositions. Be really interesting to see how that pans out. Wayne, Carey, thanks for your thoughts on Backpage Lead, and see you after round 7.
Thanks, Charlie.